Good morning, West. Thank you for being here. If we could please put our cell phones away and stand up for the call to callers.
Halt. Right face.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose proud stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
Please be seated, folks. Please be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 34th Veterans Day ceremony. Actually, I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to wait till our veterans finish entering the room. It's great that I have to wait. We have all these veterans here today. This is wonderful. So thank you. Round of applause to our veterans. Thanks for being here. Has to be the most we've ever had. I'd like to thank our special guests today, AMVETS Post 8113, American Legion Post 735 in Color Guard, American Legion Auxiliary Unit 735, Niagara Frontier Marine Corps League, VFW Post 8113, Gold Star Mothers, Blue Star Mothers, West Seneca Veterans, the Navy Seabees, the 82nd Airborne, Armed Services Recruiters for West Senior. Let's give them all a round of applause, folks. like to recognize our school board president, Mr. Bedient, is in attendance. I'd like to thank our central office team, Dr. Kruger, Mrs. Sutram, Mrs. Welker, Mr. Dalbo, our SRO from East Senior, who's also a veteran, Mr. Maloney, also a board member in the back. He's standing there very proud today, witnessing his first ever West Senior Veterans Day ceremony. So we have a lot to show today. Special thank you to our music, Mr. Blickwadell, Mr. Hasselbeck, Mr. Ursing, Ms. Rauschy, and all our musicians. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to also thank our Veterans Day Committee. We start this early in the school year. Mr. Graham, Mrs. Rice, Mrs. Carlone, Mr. Wassinger, Mrs. McManus, Mr. Galley, Mrs. Patronic, Mr. Ursing Music, Mr. Eastman, Mr. Blickwadell, Mr. Jerry Johnson, Mrs. Kennedy, Mrs. Bolognese, Mr. Pacer, and Mr. Smith. Without that crew, this would not happen. So if we can just give our last final applause for those folks. Thank you. As you can see, it takes many hands who want to take part to honor our veterans. Veterans Day is largely intended to thank living veterans for their service, to acknowledge that their contributions to our national security are appreciated, and to underscore the fact that all those who serve, not only those who have given the last full measure, has sacrificed and done their duty. Veterans Day began as a worldwide holiday called Armistice Day to celebrate the end of World War I, the first modern industrial war, which ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918, over 100 years ago. And I do want to point out the artwork that's on your program today is a World War I veteran. It also features poppies, which you will see many veterans wear poppies to represent World War I, and it's a recognition of the poem In Flanders Field by John McCrae. How one of our students came up with that motif and underscores the history or understands the history is just absolutely amazing. And we'll recognize her shortly. After the many wars and millions of veterans returning home, the United States government wanted to honor all veterans and thus changed the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day. Today and Monday, we honor and celebrate the service of our veterans. It is only right that we public educators honor our veterans. It is common knowledge that Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. However, according to Thomas Jefferson himself, his greatest contribution to our nation was not the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson knew that the democratic principles found in the Constitution, along with the very survival of our nation, a new nation, the only nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men and women are created equal, was dependent on an educated citizenry. Thomas Jefferson's greatest contribution to our nation was the Northwest Ordinance, which each town, West Seneca, set aside a plot of land devoted exclusively to public education. That's why we're here. Thomas Jefferson set aside a plot of land for everyone in this town and across the country to be educated. Our mission at West Seneca is simple: to create a literate, caring, responsible citizenry. That's what we produce. Public education is where the democratic principles are found in the Constitution, and our nation preserves those. We Americans are not a race. We are not an ethnic group. We are not a religion. We are not a language. We are not a political party. We are united in our equality and our fealty to the U.S. Constitution and the principles held within that Constitution. So we public educators want to thank you veterans every year for your service. We who strive daily to preserve democracy by educating our citizens, thank you for protecting and serving our nation, serving the Constitution, and preserving that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall never perish from this earth. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our senior, Paula Altschaff, to continue our program. Thank you, everyone.
Today we gather to honor and remember the brave men and women who have served our country, and we celebrate their sacrifices, dedication, and courage. This year marks the 34th time we've come together here at West Senior for this special ceremony, as a tradition that is both humbling and deeply meaningful. As we commemorate Veterans Day, we also reflect on the theme for this year's Veterans Day Writing and Art Contest, a legacy of loyalty and service. Thank you to all the students who submitted their creative pieces. Your thoughtfulness and passion reflect the deep respect and admiration you hold for our veterans. Whether through words or artwork, you have helped to tell their stories and convey the importance of their sacrifices. For that, we are truly grateful. The winners of this year's writing contest are Catherine Roof and Anthony Agulia. I would like to call Catherine Roof to the podium to share her words.
A legacy of loyalty and service. A legacy is what everyone hopes to have. Loyalty and service are what the brave men and women of the greatest military in the world have. The 6 branches constantly show what loyalty and service are by leaving a legacy behind and more for those to come. In my mind, every man and woman that joins the United States military shows absolute honor, loyalty, and service for this country. It takes a special person to join the United States military. Putting your life at risk for people of the country you live in is a different kind of act of service. To the unknown soldiers that are missing in action and prisoners of war, your legacy will never be forgotten. Your love and loyalty to this country, as well as your service, does not go unrecognized. Your service to the country will forever be remembered and honored. As we sit here today, more than ever, we need to remember all the countless acts of brave soldiers of the greatest military in the world. No act will ever be forgotten, as well as their legacy, loyalty, and service. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to call Anthony Agulia to the podium to share his words.
Thank you. Throughout the ages, strong and true, our veterans stand for the red, white, and blue. Bound by their honor, tried by the fire, they answer the call, and they never tire. They carried hope through the darkest nights. For freedom's sake, they chose to fight. They marched with grit, but never with shame, for they were fighting under America's great name. Their loyalty still walks, their faith still treads, for the memories of the lives they have led. They carried our flag, our hopes, and our fears, guarding our liberty year after year. The hearts they have and the souls that they gave were once again all for America's great name, a legacy, proud, honored, and bright, the guardians of our way of life. So God bless America, and God bless our troops. Your legacy forever lives on through you. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to call Mr. Galley to the podium to recognize this year's Patriotic poster winner.
Really, you don't have to clap. I can't follow that. Those were amazing writings, so thank you, students. Good morning. My name is Christopher Galley. I am privileged and honored to be an art teacher here at West Senior. Each year, our art department tries to recognize the contributions and sacrifices of our veterans through a poster contest. The concepts of sacrifice, dedication, and selflessness are universally recognized as honorable traits around the world. These are all traits shared by our veterans. As our planning committee sifted through well over 100 posters, a number of difficult decisions had to be made. But ultimately, one poster rose to the surface as our winner. This poster will be displayed permanently in our front foyer alongside a United States flag that was flown over Camp Takadum in Iraq. This artwork will serve as a constant reminder to our faculty, to our students, to our families and community that come into this building that our veterans have chosen service over self. So please join me in congratulating student Michaela Patterson on her achievement. Thank you.
I hear America singing on its greatness. I hear America singing strong.
I hear America singing of its beauty.
I hear America singing today. Oh, walk together, children, don't you get weary. Walk together, children, don't you get weary. Talk together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land. Sing together, children, don't you get weary. Sing together, children, don't you get weary. Shout together, children, don't you get weary. There's a great camp meeting in the promised land.
Great camp meeting.
America singing, America singing, sing.
We're going to
America singing, America singing, America singing, sing. America singing, America singing, America singing, sing. We're going to sing and never tire. We're going to sing and never tire. Sing and never tire.
there's a great camp meeting.
Great camp meeting.
And America singing. Great camp meeting.
Great camp meeting in the promised. Great camp meeting, America singing. Great camp meeting, promised
Now I will introduce our guest speaker. Chief Master Sergeant Raymond Fitzpatrick is the 136th Attack Squadron Senior Enlisted Leader at Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station, New York. He advises the squadron commander and provides leadership, management, and guidance in organizing, equipping, training, and mobilizing personnel to meet domestic and expeditionary mission requirements. He maintains qualifications as an MQ-9 instructor and evaluator sensor operator. Chief Master Sergeant Fitzpatrick entered the United States Air Force in January 1991. After completing Combat Crew Training School, KC-135R in-flight refueling operator training, he was assigned to the 509th Air Refueling Squadron at Griffiths, AFB, New York. In March 1994, Chief Master Sergeant Fitzpatrick transferred to the New York Air National Guard's 107th Air Refueling Wing at Niagara Falls, New York. As an initial cadre in-flight refueling operator instructor, he was instrumental in the aircraft mission conversion from the F-16 Fighting Falcon to the KC-135R Stratotanker. Due to a unit mission conversion in 2008, Chief Master Sergeant Fitzpatrick cross-trained to the C-130H Flight Engineer Career Field and was assigned as a Senior Flight Engineer Evaluator in the 107th Operations Group Standards and Evaluation Section until 2014. Due to yet another mission unit conversion, in 2014, Chief Master Sergeant Fitzpatrick joined the RPA Enterprise as an MQ-9 sensor operator and was selected as the 136th Attack Squadron Sensor Operator Superintendent. In February 2018, he assumed his current role as the 136th Attack Squadron Senior Enlisted Leader. He has deployed in direct support of operations Southern Watch, Northern Watch, Deny Flight, Joint Guard, Joint Forge, Noble Eagle, Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, Freedom Sentinel, Resolute Support, Operation Nomad Shadow, and Inherent Resolve.
Morning, West. I want to thank Principal Brinker, his faculty and staff, and Mr. Jerry Johnson, the chairman of the West Seneca School of Veteran Activities, for inviting me here today. This is the second year, so I feel more honored and humbled and privileged to be here for the second year in a row. The kids and the school and all the veterans and organizations turn out simply amaze me. So thank you. Thank you for the introduction. That was a mouthful. It just means I'm old and I've been in the service a long time. 33 years. I'm also a proud resident of West Seneca. It's truly a privilege to be here with you today on Veterans Day and to pay tribute to an extraordinary group of veterans. Today we come together to honor and recognize American service members past and present. Previous speakers have already discussed the history of Veterans Day. However, I'd like to mention that 70 years ago, in 1954, at the urging of veteran organizations, we celebrated Veterans Day as a national day of recognizing all our veterans. So today, as we celebrate the 70th anniversary of our National Day of Veterans Day, I would like to acknowledge and thank all the patriotic veteran organizations today that made that happen. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the auxiliary organizations and the patriotic organizations for what they do for veterans, the military, and their families in honor of the sacrifices and commitment of every man and woman who's ever served in uniform. I would be remiss if I did not recognize an integral part of being a veteran, the ongoing love and support of our military families. Military spouses have endured career interruptions, frequent address changes, and a disproportionate share of parental duties. The children of service members often have to deal with these changes as well. Schools, separations from their friends, and hardest of all, the uncertainty whether mom and dad will actually come back from their combat deployment. I'd also like to respectfully thank the Gold Star families for their service and ultimate sacrifice their immediate family members have made for our country. For those of you here who do not know, a Gold Star family is the immediate family member of a fallen service member who died while serving in the time of conflict. I've learned throughout my 33 years of military experience that actions speak louder than words. And many words have been spoken about veterans. You've heard them in previous speeches today, and you'll continue to hear them. Words such as courage, honor, character, service, sacrifice, and a commitment to something greater than yourself. For veterans, these are more than just words on paper. Their actions speak louder than these actual words. They live and uphold these values. Today, I would like to discuss some of these values with you. I remember when I was younger, I'd ask my parents why I didn't meet my uncle earlier. And they would say, well, he was in the service. And I never really actually got to understand what being in the service meant until I joined. In the service obviously means that they're a member of the U.S. Armed Forces. But as some of you may or may not know, the United States no longer has a military draft. Since 1973, we are completely an all-volunteer force. This means that every person that serves in our military chooses to do so. They're not required. From my experience, it takes a unique kind of individual to volunteer for this service. The military is more than a job. It is a profession of arms that demands selflessness and dedication to something bigger than oneself. Every generation of veterans has answered this call to serve, putting their lives on the line to protect our country. Their courage, sacrifice, and commitment deserve our highest respect and gratitude, not just on Veterans Day, but every day. Veterans are also familiar with sacrifice. They leave their families, their homes, and their communities and everyday lives to defend our freedom and our way of life. Many veterans have endured long separations from their families, have missed the birth of their children, countless anniversaries and holidays. They answered the call of duty and dedicated their service, again, to something greater than themselves, our most important beliefs of freedom and liberty. Our armed forces are the perfect example of the single most diverse organization in our country. We are comprised of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians, who represent every corner of our country and every hue of humanity. Whether you're immigrant, native-born, Christian, Muslim, Jew, and atheist alike, we're all forged into a common service with a greater purpose. Veterans represent the very best of our nation. We're also apolitical. You may have noticed that there was recently an election. I do not serve any political party or affiliation as a service member. When you enlist in the armed forces, you raise your right hand and you swear an oath. You would solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And what does the Constitution say? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. That is what we are sworn to uphold and defend. My point with that today is our country is becoming more divided every day, and our enemies will and can take advantage of that. Having differing opinions on what you do and where you vote is your God-given right as an American. However, we must respect our fellow Americans' opinions. E pluribus unum is our motto in the United States. Out of many, one. That is the Latin translation of it. Originally, it signified the 13 colonies came together to become one nation. I believe it can also represent our nation today. We have diverse cultures and perspectives, but we should stand united as one. I am personally grateful and will be forever in debt to the veterans who served before me and the legacy they left, whether they served stateside or overseas. They could have served in the trenches of France, landed on the beaches of Normandy, marched across the frozen Chosin, and fought in the hot jungles of Vietnam or the desert heat of Iraq, even the mountains of Afghanistan. Veterans have left a legacy that has ensured our way of life and liberty so that everyone can pursue their own happiness. In every speech, I always provide a call to action. For the students of West Senior today, my call to action is to find someone in your life that is a veteran. Ask them about their service. Let them tell you their story or simply say thank you. You can find a veteran in the veterans organizations that are represented here today. Other veterans proudly display their attire that denotes their branch of armed service or a campaign or war that they've served in. Some veterans are not so visible. They could be your neighbor, banker, teacher, police officer, or firefighter. Seek them out and keep their stories and memories alive. For those veterans here today, please share your story, especially to the West Senior High School. Let the people in our community and our students know what you've done so they can see the many faces of military service and appreciate their community members' personal service and sacrifice. We owe our nation's veterans a debt that none of us can ever repay. We can and should remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us. But we must honor them in deeds, not just words. You can thank a veteran by living your very best life and enjoying the greatness of the American way of life that they fought for, and some have even died for. There are approximately 18 million military veterans that walk among our nation today. Our nation salutes every single one of them today. They have all sacrificed and provided us with a freedom and a way of life. We all need to continue to protect those freedoms. President Ronald Reagan said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in their bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to the next generation to do the same. Or one day, we'll spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like to live in the United States where men and women were free. West Senior, before you know it, you'll all be adults. So Warhawks, when you fly forward into your future, soar to a better tomorrow and truly honor our veterans by serving. You can serve your family, you can serve your school, your team, your community, and even your nation. Please take full advantage of all the rights and live the values our veterans have fought so hard and long for. Choose unification over division and leave your legacy behind for future West Senior High School students. West Senior High School students, faculty, and everyone in attendance, thank you for your time and attention, and special thanks to all Americans veterans today. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Veterans, when you hear the music for your branch here this morning, we would love for you to stand and be recognized. The United States Army.
Over hill, over dell, we will hit the dusty trail, and the big songs go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, round the march, right about, and the big songs go rolling along. Then it's high, high, in the field, shout out from
United States Navy.
At this time, I would like to call Mr. Wassinger to the podium to recognize our POW table.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Ray Wassinger and I am a retired teacher here from West, and I consider it a very privilege and honor to be here and do the POW MIA table. We call your attention to this small table. It is round because then we can all be around it. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our Corps are missing from our ranks, and they may be prisoners of war or missing in action, and we call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families today, so I ask that we join together to pay our humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. This table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of purity of their intentions to respond to their nation's call to bear arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood that many have shed to sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. The rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while waiting for their return. The yellow ribbon on the base represents the yellow ribbons worn on the lapels of thousands who demand the unyielding determination and a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless tears of families as they wait. The glass, the wine glass, inverted because they cannot toast with us tonight. The chair is empty. They are not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors to the open arms of a grateful nation. Let us pray that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember their sacrifices. May they watch over them for them and their families. And we can sum this up with one word: remember. Thank you.
A little audible here. I'm going to introduce Mr. Herkey. He's not coming to the podium. I'm going to him. Mr. Herkey's been doing the benediction for many, many years. We have the honor of him also doing the benediction today. So West, if you could please rise for the benediction, remain standing for taps and the retiring of the callers.
Wow, I want to welcome all today, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for honoring our veterans, because I know this comes from your hearts. I graduated from this high school years ago. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I want to honor you, thank you once again for allowing us to come here and be honored. Okay, let us go to prayer. Our Supreme Commander and Lord of us all, I thank you for this life you've given us, Lord, Father, and I thank you for blessing our country, Lord, with your power and your glory. I thank you because I know that you are in our hearts, Lord, and that you will be with us always, Father, until the day we come home, because we know that you're calling us, Lord. I thank you for this day and for the sunshine, Father, and for the mighty power that you've given this country, Lord, that you oversee us, Father, and that you bless our country with your mighty hand, Lord, and that you will be with us always and protect us, Father. In your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Give it a tad hot. Present it. Two. Retired colors. Left face. Forward march, half step.
I can't tell you enough how proud I am of you. Every year when the veterans come here, they always think that we coach you, and we don't, because that's just who you are. So to our musicians, to everyone in this room, I cannot tell you how proud I am. I am 53 years. I'm not old, because it's easy. Here's how you're old. I know. When you start mocking out and saying bad stuff about the youth of this nation. You're awesome. I told you that on the first day of school. You're special. You're good. You're the best thing in this country is our youth. And it's great when our veterans, more and more every year, come here and see this. So I cannot thank you from the bottom of my heart, West. I cannot thank you enough. We had a lot of new folks here that wanted to see what this was like. Everyone in this room did their job. So thank you enough. You better have a great day. You better have a good weekend. And I'm hearing we're off Monday. So go West. Go back to class. Have fun. Thank you.